Just a few years ago, Mongolia was a vibrant economy. In fact, it was the world's fastest growing country in 2011, achieving 17.5% GDP growth. But things are looking quite different now.
In 2011, I went abroad to study. At the time, Mongolia was mentioned about its highest growing economy in the world. But when I come back to 2015, things were completely changed. And the media, and press, it said economical stagnation, potential government default, and companies running out of business, therefore creating a lot of joblessness and creating a lot of social problems. And I was wondering what have happened just in these 4 years.
In this film, we'll try to find out the reasons for this downturn, and then we'll see why Mongolia might recover from it.
Well, there's pretty much two reasons that you can point to. First, obviously, the commodities market has fallen quite a bit, and that's really negatively impacted the economy. But the most important factor is the loss or the decline in the investment climate. So there's not a lot of interest in companies to come in. Started in 2012, 2013 with the government making it more difficult for companies to invest here and doing certain ill-advised maneuvers that have scared off investment, and that has really has stopped Mongolia from growing and diversifying like it should have.
There was one disagreement in particular between Rio Tinto, an Anglo-Australian mining company, and the government about running the Oyu Tolgoi mine, the world's second largest copper deposit, capable of producing a third of Mongolia's GDP. But the dispute led to postponing of further digging and sharply accentuated Mongolia's downturn. The reason why I don't give more details about this dispute is that it's a very controversial subject and versions differ according to whom you ask. Some saying that Rio Tinto was misinforming the government, others saying that the government was renegotiating contracts after signing them. But in any case, the result is alike and definitely not a one-to-one one for Mongolia. But when studying Mongolia's economy, one also mustn't forget its powerful neighbor in the south.
For Mongolia, the slowdown in the world economy, and especially the slowdown for China, is of course very important. So Mongolia exports 95% of its exports to China. So whatever happens in China is very important.
Now, how is Mongolia going to recover from this situation? Well, of course, Mongolia must diversify its economy and make it more open to foreign investment, to be less dependent and to progress. But let's now look at the promising projects and events which may improve Mongolia's economical state in the near future. One which definitely will have an impact is the Asia-Europe meeting, or ASEM, this year.
At the middle of July, there will be here in Ulaanbaatar, the ASEM meeting is the 20th meeting of ASEM. ASEM is the meeting between the European country and the country that belongs to the ASEAN organization. And then the organizer, that is in this case Mongolia, they host also. They invite also other countries like China and Russia that are not in this. So we are expecting to have more than 50 head of state and of governments here in Mongolia. This is very important, not only for political reason, because Mongolia will be at the center of the world at that time, but also for economic reason, because we have to think about the fact that so many people, so many delegation, journalists that comes in this country, of course, they will stay in hotels, they will eat in restaurants, and they will discover a country that maybe in the past they don't know even that exists in terms of organization, in terms of also tourism, because they have also the possibility to go around and see what it means. So it's for the Mongolian, it's a very important event.
Another project which might make a difference is the construction of the new Ulaanbaatar International Airport.
This airport started several years ago, and we'll be completing very shortly, I think in November, and then it will be operational perhaps next June. And this is a major step as an international investment project for Mongolia. It's funded by Japanese with an extremely low interest rate. Nobody else can compete with that. And the project itself will advance the aviation in this country drastically. The existing airport is terrible, where you have flights can only land in one direction because of the configuration of the landmass and because of pollution in the winter. And so this airport itself will, I think, dramatically change the aspect of aviation in this country.
I think in a couple of election cycles' time, maybe by mid-2020s, you'll see a vast change in this country. The Mongolians who are, now working in various companies, who studied overseas, who lived overseas, who worked overseas, had exposure to Europe, the UK, Australia, America. They will be no longer working in business necessarily, but will be taking up seats in government. And they're going to be the ones that are the real drivers of change, of changing policy. They do want to see Mongolia fully into the 21st century. I think they want, in my experience of my friends and my acquaintances, they don't necessarily want to remain in gers herding on the steppe like their forefathers did. They really want to bring Mongolia into the 21st century, and I do think that that's possible. Certainly the young ideas are there. The people who really desire change just need to get into power and bring those ideas with them. And commodity prices, which Mongolia are so reliant on, aren't always going to be this low. Copper, for example, one of the big exports, very dependent on China, is at multi-year lows because of the Chinese slowdown. But when the Chinese economy does pick up, which it will inevitably, Mongolia will be standing by, ready to benefit from that. So, yes, going forward, probably 8 to 10 years, I would be very optimistic about this country, yes.